All right, guys, welcome back to your weekly exclusive gear review episode, whatever you want to call it, with Chad and Chili. Today, we're talking about headlamps or lights, right? Why is this important? Because this is a very crucial piece of gear, whether you're ultra running, whether you're backpacking, or whatever. If it gets dark outside and you need to make movement and you don't have a light source, you're screwed. You ain't going nowhere. We just did a podcast on the 3 to 7 podcast where we talked about gear. Go listen to it. All right? So, headlamps. This is a very important piece of gear. We're going to talk through some of the different brands, some of the different types. I'm Chad Wright, former Navy SEAL, ultra runner. This is Chili, director of prophecy here at 3 to 7 Project, and also ultra runner, very accomplished. We've spent many hours of our lives running or hiking or backpacking using a headlamp. Many hours. What's up, Chili?
What's going on? So, I think headlamps are often forgotten about as a piece of gear for people that don't think they're going to be running at night or don't plan on doing a 100-mile race like what we do, where you know you're going through the night, and they don't have any thought about it. They don't have this gear, and I think it's important. Obviously, you know if you're going to be running a 100-mile, you're going to be running at night, so you have to have these. But runners of all kinds need to have this gear, just in case. You know, if you're just a trail runner and you don't go super long, but you're running, say, in the afternoon or something, and something happened when you're out there, it's good to have this with you. So
100%. And if you become immobile, this can also be used as a signaling device. That's why this is such an essential piece of gear. And yes, this is a piece of gear that I don't ever go out into the backcountry without. So great point, Chili. All right, we're going to call, again, we're not sponsored by any of these brands. This is an honest review. So we're going to I'll go over first kind of the brands that I like and what I like about them, and then go over some of the brands that I don't like and what I don't like about them. So first of all, this is my go-to headlamp. This is a black diamond. I think it's called an Icon is the name of this headlamp. Now, I've used this extensively. Let me tell you right now, this sucker is bright. And it also lasts a long time. All right? So, but there are some disadvantages to that. Because it is bright and because it has such a long burn time, even on high, I mean, it's something crazy, like 80-something hours, I'm pretty sure. It's heavier. It takes 4 AA batteries in a battery pack that sits on the back of your head. Here's the actual light portion. So, this headlamp right here is serious business, man. It's great for adventure racing, some kind of long solo event where you don't want to have to worry about switching batteries. Maybe it's cold out, maybe the environment's rough. This is a great headlamp for it. It's awesome. Some of the things I like about this headlamp, this black diamond, all black diamond headlamps that I've used have been awesome. A couple things I like about it that are very important. The battery pack is very easy to access. This is important, all right? Because as you get cold and your fingers stop working and you got to put new batteries in your headlamp, you got to have something that's easy to open and switch the batteries out in. So that's really easy. I really like this cord right here that connects the actual light with the battery pack. I like this because I can simply unhook this connection right here. All right, you guys see that? When I throw this light in my pack, the first thing I do is I unhook this thing, all right? Now what that does is when this light is bouncing around in my pack, I don't want this thing to accidentally turn on, all right? Because it'll just sit in my pack all day. The light's on, it runs my battery down. Then when I get it out and I actually need it, it has no battery, all right? So I go ahead and unhook this, which this light cannot function without being connected to the battery pack. I think that's essential in a headlamp, is to have some feature that locks the headlamp to where it cannot turn on while it's in your pack. All right. Again, it's very bright. I like that. It has multiple settings, multiple colors. I think they went a little overboard on the colors with this light. Has freaking green, yellow, red. It has all the, like, what do I need all those colors for? I think it's a little ridiculous. I think every headlamp should have white light and red light, all right? The difference between white and red light, well, white light is very visible. If you're running and you need to see the ground, yeah, always use white light. A red light is less visible, all right? It doesn't penetrate the night near as well. The only time I would ever use a red lens was in the SEAL teams when we were trying to remain clandestine. And if you needed to turn a light on, you never used a white light because white light can be seen from a long distance. A red lens actually doesn't travel. The light doesn't travel near as much as the white light. So I definitely want a white and a red just because sometimes I want to be cool and have a red headlamp and act like I'm still in the SEAL teams. So because this light has so many colors and so many different functions, that's another thing I don't like about this light is there's so many different settings on it. And they're all ran off of that one button on the top. So I've had this dang light before. I mean, it'll start strobing some color I didn't even know it had. And I'm like, how do I change this thing back to just regular white light? And you gotta like press it 3 times on the left and then shake it like this and hit it on the side. And it turns back to white light. I don't like that about this headlamp. But it's super durable. I've had this thing for a couple years. Super bright, super functional, long burn time. It's a great light. Other than it's a little complicating, that's the downside of this. So instead of this, if I don't think I'm going to need that much burn time and I want to cut down on some weight, this is the other black diamond headlamp that I have. I don't know the model of this thing. You guys can look at it here. I'm sure you can find it in your local store. It also has a locking feature. It's got a white and a red lens. It's much lighter. It takes two AAA batteries. So much lighter weight because that's where most of your weight's coming from is the batteries. It's pretty easy to access. You just pull this tab here on the side and it pops open and you've got your battery compartment in there. It has a locking feature that's very simple. You just press both of these down. And also the function to switch back and forth between white light and red light is very simple and easy to use. So this is kind of my new go-to, unless I was doing a long type of adventure race or something where maybe I needed to shine out into the woods and see a terrain feature or see something kind of way out in front of me, I would take this black diamond icon. If I was just trail running, I would take this little black diamond light right here. I forget what this thing is called, but yeah, there it is. Black Diamond is the brand I've decided to go with on headlamps. The other big brand you have is Petzl. I've got 2 examples of Petzl right here. This is actually, I don't even freaking know if they make this anymore, but this is what I was issued in the SEAL teams. It's got white light with a little lens cover that you can flip up to make it red. This thing sucks. It is not durable at all. I probably went through 3 or 4 of these a year when I was in the SEAL teams because they just kept breaking. And you can see the body's all cracked and it just doesn't work. The strap's all messed up. I mean, I don't like that.
Yeah.
This is a newer, hold on. This isn't Petzl. This is Black Diamond too. Here's another Black Diamond headlamp right here. I don't like this Black Diamond headlamp because it has this latch right here that I have to flip to get into my battery compartment. And I literally need a pocket knife to flip that latch open. I don't know, Black Diamond, why did you do this? Why did you make this headlamp like this? My hands are cold, I can't get this thing open. And it's also really confusing. Just like my icon. It's got this single button up here and it does all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't like Petzl. Petzl's got all this technology to where it recharges itself. Dude, no. Just want to click the button, put the batteries in, have light. All right? Your reactive thing where it'll adjust the light and all this. No, man. I just need light. All right? I've also had a couple of headlamps made by Princeton Tech. I don't have an example here today because I threw them all in the garbage. God bless Princeton Tech. All their headlamps are made in America, but every one I've ever used really, really, really sucks. Like, bad sucks. And also, don't buy a headlamp that takes CR123 batteries, or you'll go broke. Those batteries are like $20 for 2 of them. And like, you can only buy them at Walgreens. Get a headlamp that takes AA or AAA batteries. Promise you, it's going to save you a lot of headache and money. Black diamond is the way to go, in my opinion. Find something that easily accessible in the batteries, not too confusing on the button manipulation, and something that you can lock when you throw it in your pack. What you got, Chili?
Well, I've got one thing that Chad's never used before. At least I don't think you have utilized it while running. This is a hand torch, or I mean, you can just call it a flashlight. It's actually the Zephyr Fire 300 RX by Nathan, which is, I know in our previous videos I've used a lot of Nathan packs and bottles, but I don't know. I didn't see many other typical illumination companies like Petzl or Black Diamond that had an option like this. And basically, I just wanted to try it, and it's worked really well for me. I don't like wearing a headlamp. I've got some problems with them, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But this is pretty much my go-to. I wouldn't say all the time, but in certain situations, such as a race that I don't think I'm going to be in the dark for the whole night. I just assume it's going to be a little bit. I'll have this with me, and I'll still have this, a headlamp, as a backup with my dad who's coming around crewing or something like that. But this actually has a burn time on the low and medium settings that could last through an entire night if it needed to.
I'll never forget seeing that stupid light going through the mountains here on the Georgia Jewel 100-mile race, and Chili was running out in front of me. And all I see is the light beam from that light going up, down, up. I can't even describe it to you. I watched it for probably 45 minutes, and I was like, what is this dude? Can't be a headlamp. I just see it going up and down, so.
Yeah, no, I don't. It may not work for other people. I've seen people trash these like crazy, and I get it. The really only disadvantage I've found with it is that it takes away one of my hands that I like to carry bottles with. So in a race like the Georgia Jewel, if I could only pick one, I would pick this headlamp. But with the advantage of having my dad being able to give this to me, in fact, a lot of races I've had this on my head, but use this or in my pack. Because like I said, I just don't like these on my head. These are great to just hold in your hand. It bounces up and down, but I could keep my arm steady when I needed to, and I could point at something off the trail or up the trail without having to turn my head.
Yeah.
Which I really like that. I can keep my head focused on where I'm running, but I can maneuver this however I want. It's got low, medium, and high settings. The high will not last you through the night. It's very bright, but it won't last you through the entire night. But the advantage of it is if you keep it on low or medium, it's still pretty bright and will actually last through an entire night. There's also a flash setting, a strobe setting, which could come in handy. There's a setting where you can turn this red light on the back on. You'd have, it wouldn't illuminate your path if you turned it around, but it would, I don't know, if you were running on the road maybe at night, and it would help be a visible thing that people could see.
Behind you, yeah.
Behind you. So there's a lot of cool features to it. It also doesn't take batteries, which I like. Since it has such a long burn time, that's a huge advantage. I don't have to worry about the extra weight of batteries. This weighs, it doesn't even feel like anything's in your hand. And you just charge it on the computer when it's done. And like I said, if you keep it on the low or medium, it lasts for a very long time. So this is the exact same headlamp that Chad talked about first, but I've got a few different takes on it. I've already mentioned why I use this. It's because I don't typically like headlamps. The battery pack on the back of my head, it's really heavy, and I like to be as light as possible.
You got a weak neck.
He says I got a weak neck. That may be true, but I don't. I mean, it's not heavy to where it bothers your neck or anything. It's just, it's too much. It's more weight. It doesn't fit on my head very well. I don't know. Maybe I haven't done the right things with it. But
no, that's some serious weight. I mean, that's 4 AA batteries plus the container.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's. I mean, yeah. I thought the weight was a little unsat when I used this, so I wanted to look for other options. But having said any problems that you may have with it, it's an extremely good tool. This specific black diamond, because I don't know the burn time. You can look it up. We didn't do a great job of telling the exact name of it, but it's the icon.
Yeah.
It's
a long time.
It's an extremely long burn time, and on even high, it's an extremely long burn time. So you should always have something like this with you, because a headlamp. If you get in a situation where, forget a race, where you really needed a headlamp and you had one of these that maybe lasts 3-4 hours, well, that may help you through whatever you're going through, or you may get to the point where it burns out and you still needed it for another 3 or 4 hours. That's a problem. So this really decreases the chances of that with how long it can burn. So I think if you burned it through a night and turned it off during the day, it would probably last a whole nother night.
It'd probably go 2 nights, yeah.
So it's an extremely good tool. It's very bright, like he said. The reason I like this is because it's so bright and it doesn't have to be so heavy on my head, but this definitely beats it in brightness. It's going to illuminate your path better. There's a lot of settings. I've never had a problem with it. One setting that I actually like is you can control the brightness with this little mode on the side of it. So you can be running, and if you want to try to conserve some more battery, you can just lower it, and it's always worked good for me. And another cool feature is when you turn it on and off, it'll remember where you last had the brightness. So that's I think that's a really useful tool. And also, if you need it to go to bright really quick, you just tap that button on the side.
See, I've never been able to figure that out.
And it goes straight to max brightness. So it's some really cool features. I think this is what you'd need for. This is like the most heavy duty headlamp, the most burn time that you could possibly buy. I mean, I'm sure there's probably something greater, but this gets the job done. And kind of those mid-level lights that he was talking about that won't last as long, but I don't use those. I use this, and it's worked really well. But keep in mind, I always have both of these whenever I'm racing or doing a training run through the night. I would never be with just one, because something could happen to it.
It's an essential piece of gear.
Yeah, at the Georgia Jewel, the race he was talking about the beginning when he saw my stupid lamp going up and down. Well, at the end of the race, I was about 5 miles from the finish. I was really close, and I mean, I was running obviously as fast as I could. And I getting tired, tripped on a rock, and I fell face first and slammed this headlamp on a rock. Well, it actually didn't work anymore. So what happened was I pulled this out of my pack, turned it on, was good to go. If I hadn't had that, I would have had to try to traverse the last 5 miles on some of the most technical part of that race with no light. He may have caught me. So always have both.
Yep, always have 2 headlamps, all right? You can run this as your primary, this is your secondary, or this is your primary and another one like this as your secondary, all right? So yeah, that's important. Now, based off what Chili said, that's another thing, the difference between a rechargeable and a battery-operated headlamp. I prefer battery-operated headlamp. Yeah, it may add a little weight, right? But I like to have the capability to have extra batteries out there with me, and not have to rely on some charging station or cable in order to charge my headlamp. So that's me. I've actually never owned a rechargeable headlamp just for that basic reason. But a lot of times I'm using my headlamps for multi-day missions and not just a race. Now, I would use this same lamp for a race and a multi-day mission, but I have to have the ability to change batteries and bring spare batteries. So that's something to think about. Well, guys, I think that'll get you started on your headlamp. Black Diamond takes the cake on headlamps, in my opinion. Hope this saves you some money, saves you some time. Last thing I'll say is We talked a lot about burn time, and all these lights are rated with like a lumens rating.
Yeah.
Look, man, don't get so wrapped around the axle on that. How much light do you need to be able to see the ground in front of you and not trip over obstacles if you're out racing, right? The only time you're going to need that super bright setting, again, if you're trying to look way out in front of you and assess some terrain feature, even if you're trying to signal someone, a very dim white light can be seen a long ways. You're not trying to signal a freaking aircraft, man. So only use the amount of light that you need in order to traverse the terrain safely.
And the only thing about that is it may be hard to know exactly how much you need. Because when I was first getting into this, I didn't know exactly how much lumens would even work. Like, I didn't know 100, 300, 500. I didn't know how much I needed. What would you say? I would say 300 is...
I think this light's 250.
Yeah.
This is 250 lumens, and it is more than bright enough for anything that I'll ever do unless I'm searching for some checkpoint or I'm trying to shine a hillside that's 200 yards distant. All right? So, yeah, this is 250 on max setting. I will rarely use this light on max setting. So, yeah.
So that should give you an idea on lumens.
A lot of this stuff is way overkill. Obviously, when they package this stuff and brand this stuff for a reason, you walk into your local store and you're like, oh, here's a headlamp with 250 lumens. Hell, here's one with 1,000 lumens. Obviously, I should buy that. Dude, you don't need 1,000 lumens. It's more weight. Use the light that you need to get the job done that you're doing, right? It's going to conserve your battery, and you're going to be good to go. So think about that.
And same thing with burn time. If you're doing a race where you know you're going to be going through the whole night, well, you do need to make sure the burn time is at least, 10 hours on a low set. It doesn't have to, but that's key. So just know what you're going to do with it, but also think about potential situations you could find yourself in that you weren't planned in but may require something. So, yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed this. Nuff said.